we interrupt this program to bring you the Blood Moon Bobby Show, starring Blood Moon Bobby.
He became a photographer, then he studied journalism. He lives in the middle of California. But creepy stuff always happens in and out of California. It's up to Blood Moon Bobby to report on it all.
Finally here. Heard about this topic earlier this week. In fact, wow. The creator of Courage, the Cowardly Dog, John R. Dilworth, he made this Facebook post on October 23rd, and we're just trying to, make our schedules work, and today we finally got it together. And so now we're talking about Before Courage, which, actually, before we get into Before Courage, Gabby, you've seen way more Courage the Cowardly Dog than I did when I was a kid. Care to explain the show to us?
Basically, we got this cute little dog. His name is Courage. This lovely lady finds him in a dumpster. Yes, as a pup, abandoned. Takes him in, and they live in what's literally called the middle of nowhere.
Nowhere, Kansas.
Yeah. And basically, all kinds of crazy stuff happens, from the paranormal to, to like sci-fi type stuff. You got your curses, you got your aliens, you got your ghosts, you got your serial killers, you've got the deranged duck doctor.
Yeah, there was also that one episode you and Steven talked about, that really, edgy episode where there was that one character that was, implied to be, abused, and Courage has to save that character.
Oh, is that the one with Kitty and Bunny?
Yes, that one.
Oh, I love that episode.
I haven't seen it. I really should see it. My extent of seeing Courage was another one of those shows, I got to see... Courage, I think, was one of those shows, I watched, when I would go over to my aunt's house in Camarillo. So, she had cable, I didn't. We watched Cartoon Network. And I remember, watching this show, Courage, and I definitely remember because it's this pink dog with a couple holes in his teeth. And honestly, I don't remember, didn't get to see that much. The only episodes I remember seeing of Courage is the one where they showed the backstory when his parents get taken away. And I have this one on my Game Boy Advance. You guys don't know, they used to release, Cartoon Network episodes on Game Boy Advance Video. And they had one with a Courage episode where he gets turned into a fly, which I get that joke now that I'm older. And there's this satellite coming down, and it's gonna crash on his house. So he has to go up there and, reprogram the satellite so it won't crash on their house, his owner's house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's honestly one of the milder Courage episodes. The only kind of creepy part is Eustace. Is it Eustace or Eustace?
It's Eustace Faggs.
Yeah, Eustace is doesn't know it's Courage, so he's trying to swat this fly, so he gets some fly paper, and he accidentally hits Muriel's face, and when he peels it off, do you remember, Gabby?
I don't, but let's say even if Eustace knew it was Courage, he probably would still be swatting.
Yeah.
Because he's just a jerk like that.
I know, he always calls Courage stupid dog. But anyway, back to what I was saying. He accidentally peels off Muriel's face, and you can, see her skull. And she's Eustace, if you don't put my face back, you'll have cold cuts for dinner. And Eustace, puts the face back, but it's upside down, and he has to fix it and puts it right side up. I think after that, Muriel gets, a pan and, hits Eustace on the head, and he's like, what did I do?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So
that is also Eustace for you, though, so I'm not surprised.
But yeah, he's definitely left, Courage has definitely left some sort of an impact, on me. I definitely, remember, it's a bit of irony. He's this cowardly dog who, does he always talk? I know he talks, normal dialogue, but he sometimes goes like this, he goes is that just, what he says when he panics?
Yeah, there's stuff like that. He starts doing pantomime, and he goes all crazy. I think what the logic there is basically like that kind of like you can understand him but humans can't.
Really?
So even if he tried really hard to talk in plain English, he's not really talking in plain English.
He's just, kind of like talking like a dog, just barking.
Yeah, so that's us being able to understand dog.
I see, like getting inside his head. So
yeah,
not literally, but yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, why?
Yeah.
Basically, go right ahead. This is so crazy.
Basically, the logistics behind it is like, if it's anyone who's like not doing the crazy stuff, right? They're not gonna hear English. So unless it's like the villain or the audience, they're not gonna understand anything that he's trying to say. That's why he tries to make it so obvious with the pantomiming and the shape shifting.
I see.
And yet it fails.
Okay. But anyway, we're on to the topic. We're talking about courage because the creator, John R. Dilworth, is implying on Twitter that his company may be getting into production on a prequel for Courage the Cowardly Dog. And I'll read it to you. I sent it to you, right, Gabby, on Facebook?
Yes, I did receive it.
I'll read it to people watching here. It says, "To all our Courage fans, I am deeply moved by the love for our show. I'm grateful that our talented team was able to do some good in the world. I have promising news. We are expecting to begin development on a potential prequel to Courage the Cowardly Dog titled Before Courage for a Boomerang. Stay tuned for more. Who knows what will happen? Continue to write CN to keep broadcasting Courage the Cowardly Dog. Your friend Dilly."
This warms my heart.
Yeah,
it makes me feel bad for not being on Boomerang more.
Some would argue you're not missing out much. Like, I don't have Boomerang, but I hear people say Boomerang has just become like a mishmash of retro cartoons and even super recent Cartoon Network shows like Teen Titans Go and that awful Powerpuff Girls reboot. So, but anyway, like, sticking to the main topic, how do you honestly feel, Gabby? Like, I'm probably going to be the main person asking you questions since you're way more familiar with Courage than I am.
I'm excited. Definitely, because I absolutely love Courage. It's one of those things that kind of like, I kind of realized the impact it had after I had time to like think about it and just kind of forgot about it and then went back on it. So it's definitely one of those things where I felt like I could go back and take so much more from the show than I originally did when I first watched it. I'm curious to see what it's gonna be about, if it's gonna be before Courage, though.
Yeah, that's the confusing thing. I think a lot of people look at, hear, oh, Courage the Cowardly Dog prequel, is it going to be about before he got separated from his parents? But that title, Before Courage, implies, well, before Courage, before, like, he was born, or before he became, like, the central character. Like, if it is going to be about Before Courage, who can John R. Dilworth and his team, like, what characters can he utilize?
There is one way where he would still be in the picture, and that is if it's a play on words.
Oh, as in, like, before we got because it's so weird, though, because even when Courage was, like, saving the day, he was still known for being, like, really whiny and uppy and cowardly, so...
That's why I absolutely love the name, because he is still, in his own way, courageous, because how much more courageous can you be than going out and doing that which you are the most terrified of doing, despite being so terrified?
True, yes. I mean, that's, why the title, like, it's a play on words, it's irony, and it works so well.
Yeah, and I think we've always when it's addressed in the show, we've always been pointed towards the fact that Muriel and Eustace are the reason why Courage even manages to overcome his fears.
Really?
Yeah. The things I do for love.
Could you explain in more detail again, since I haven't seen all
Yeah,
that much?
basically he loves he legitimately loves Muriel and Eustace. Even Eustace, despite him being a complete jerk, because they still gave him a home.
Mm-hmm.
They still took him in. And they have absolutely no idea that all this crazy stuff is going on. And he wants to take on the responsibility of making sure they never figure that out. And when they do, he's still there to help them get out of it.
Yeah, hence why in the intro, they say that creepy stuff happens in nowhere and it's up to Courage to save his new home.
Exactly. And he feels that obligation out of, the love and respect that he has for these people that were so kind enough to take him in. Mm-hmm. Because it was also that kind of kindness and love that actually gave him a home to stay in.
Mm-hmm. So do you think maybe it'll be possible that we're going to see... Do you think the sequel might involve Courage's parents?
Possibly. It could also be that time period between him losing his parents and finding Muriel and Eustace, which I think could potentially be very interesting, because then we could get to see just how Courage developed that courage despite being such a cowardly dog to begin with. Mm-hmm. Because that's from nature. So the question is, what made him change?
So you think it'll be more about him, living on his own? Because you mentioned earlier he was like abandoned at a dump.
A pup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was abandoned as a pup in a dumpster.
Mm-hmm. I'm really trying to get... It's funny, I initially thought of before Courage as is it going to be a prequel series? Well, Dilworth didn't outright say prequel series or prequel TV movie, which I guess is kind of a gray area. What is it? Because is there enough material to make an entire series out of this, or would it only work as a TV movie?
I'm pretty sure it would be more of a TV movie type situation, because with that, there's really not much else one can work off of.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's either that or creating a completely different character or set of characters, and then why even associate it with Courage?
Yeah, other than it's Boomerang kind of and
pointless. Now, I mean, I could be wrong, and they have this amazing idea for a completely new show, chock full of references and connections to the original show. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I don't either. I probably should mention that, I was saying before, Boomerang is often nowadays treated as kind of a dumping ground, and I hear people talk about how it's very, low in ratings, which I don't have evidence to back that up. I tried researching last night and couldn't find any numbers. If anybody knows, please let me know. So I'm wondering, is this Boomerang's way of trying to get people to... Because they advertise themselves more as a streaming service rather than a TV channel nowadays. When you look up Boomerang ads, they talk about the streaming service, but don't really mention, oh yeah, we're on TV too. So I'm wondering, is this their way of saying, hey, we're seeing Nickelodeon is making a bunch of these reboot movies, they did it, Hey Arnold, which I really liked. They're doing Rocko's Modern Life, Invader Zim into the Floor Puss. So is Boomerang doing their own version? They're gonna do, oh, we're gonna pull a Nickelodeon and do this.
I am kind of seeing that, and I would probably be on your boat, saying that it's that, at least partially.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing as a lot of retro cartoons are coming back, mm-hmm. particularly from Nickelodeon, which props to Nickelodeon for doing that right.
Well,
I'm
actually,
sorry.
Yeah, come to think of it, Disney XD is also doing it. They're doing the Kim Possible movie, and they brought back
That's
DuckTales.
true. We gotta realize though that Nickelodeon has really been on the forefront of it all.
True.
Plus, it's nothing really new for Disney, mainly because that's part of Disney's way of working. They work off of nostalgia for a giant chunk of what they do.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, they're going to move on to the next stuff that they haven't milked to death. You know,
Yeah.
and they're doing a great job, and I don't think it's something that's bad. You know, or just kind of like, you know, just not noteworthy. But I definitely wouldn't say they've really gone kind of like taken that the way that Nickelodeon did. Because I think Nickelodeon was just kind of like the sleeping giant for a while, you know, it's like nobody was really paying attention to him.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden they decided to have this great idea, and that just kind of worked. And I will say though, going back to it coming this being a Cartoon Network show,
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed a lot of people have really been hammering in, at least as fans, how much they miss the old school Cartoon Network shows.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I mean, as far back as Teen Titans Go, you know, we had the whole thing with Thundercats Roar, and the thing was is that they were complaining that, you know, this wasn't really doing it for them. And I think Cartoon Network has finally had the time to think through, okay, well, what do they want?
Yeah.
You know, and I would feel like Nickelodeon kind of gave them, you know, a good idea to kind of like work off of. I wouldn't say it's like cheating off of them necessarily.
No, it's not. It's
Because
kind of typical
it's really
competition
not.
kind of stuff.
Yeah, they're kind of like they're kind of like making a bandwagon for everyone to jump on, and I think that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they're finally be like, oh, so that's what they wanted. Okay, we can do that. Let's find out a good way to do that. And you know, it's like, oh well, we're not going to risk anything with a channel like Boomerang. I mean, we're not really putting that much into it anyway.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
perfect
I
vessel.
think what you're getting at, you're talking about how Gabby with Nickelodeon's reboots with, in the case of Invader Zim, Hey Arnold, and Rocco, is that they were able to get the original creators back, right?
Partially, but I think also Nickelodeon has really promoted their works in a way that kind of excites the fans, you know,
Mm-hmm.
instead of infuriating them.
Yeah. Cough, cough, Christina Miller. But yeah, because in the case of Cartoon Network, what I was about to say is when you look at their reboots like Teen Titans Go, Ben 10, and Powerpuff Girls, the thing about them is they gave them to new people. They didn't, you know, ask like Craig McCracken or, you know, as far as I don't think they asked the original crew of Ben 10 to come back. And it's not that, and it's not that I'm personally against, you know, like new people getting their hands on it. It's just that if you give it to people who don't do a good job, then and you get a very inferior product. So I guess I'm kind of saying, like in the case of Cartoon Network, if they're now realizing, hey, let's do a very similar with Nickelodeon, maybe they did a thing where they asked John or Dilworth, you know, hey, can you come back and make a Courage the Cowardly Dog like prequel or you know, do what you want to do. You know, people really like your show, so we trust you.
Yeah, I think another part of it too was especially with Teen Titans Go. They did not have the previous fans in mind.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily a bad thing, and I've said this time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they still got mad, and rightfully so.
Mm-hmm. Although that being said, going back to DuckTales, like DuckTales is a good example of they may have given it to a new crew, but it was a really great show. Like I just got done watching yet another episode, and I hope to come back soon.
Oh
So
yeah, definitely. And even then, if you look at DuckTales, it's kind of like the in between of these two, where it's like, yes, we're getting new people and we're marketing it to new people. You know, this is for the younger generations to enjoy as well because this is something to introduce them to what DuckTales is.
hmm
But also, they've got they've got like a good plot. They've got, references. They've got, oof, they bring back characters like you would not imagine.
hmm
And they have this luck with picking out such good characters to bring back and incorporate them in such a what's the word I'm looking for? Um, Flattering way.
hmm
You know, and I think that's what a lot of people missed. With Nickelodeon though, if you notice, it's a lot more with the people who made it great coming back. So
hmm
you do have a point there. That was kind of like one of the main points that got a lot of people interested. Like, oh my gosh, the one and only is coming back, and they're
hmm
gonna work on it. It's gotta be good.
hmm
And they're right. It's been great so far. So yeah, I'd say it's still worth a shot that way anyway. And even if we just get like the creator and no one else really coming back, I'm pretty sure we could trust the creator to be able to decide who's going to join him in this new rendition of whatever of in this new rendition of his old work. You know, so no matter what happens
Yeah.
in that
I mean,
sense.
having the original creator back, while it's not a guarantee that it'll be really good, because who knows, maybe the creator lost their way. But in the case of Dilworth, I don't think that's the case, only because I think there's
Yeah.
definitely a lot of possibilities that they could do if Before Courage is going to be a very similar kind of show, where Courage has to go up against this really creepy, like villain or something like that. So I guess the other thing is it is kind of curious as to why they're putting this on Boomerang instead of Cartoon Network, and I think we kind of addressed maybe they're putting on Boomerang because they don't want to like tarnish. They don't want it to, if it comes on Cartoon Network and the ratings are bad, then it's like, oh no. But if it's Boomerang, which I hate saying calling it a dumpster ground, they're just like good or bad. Well, we got it out there. If it does good, that's great. But if not that many people see it, then well, it's Boomerang, so it's not
Yeah,
that
and,
big of a
and that's
failure.
I don't say that in the sense of thinking lesser of the channel that is Boomerang.
Mm-hmm.
I think more than anything, it's an untapped resource of theirs.
mm-hmm.
Because I think when it was made, there was not much thought put into it. It was just supposed to be a place where you can look at really, 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 really old cartoons, some of which people hadn't heard of for years, you know. And I guess slowly after that, they've started looking like, oh well, what else can we put in here? What's new? And so slowly they started figuring out different things to do with it, and I think this may actually even be something that kind of like gets more people to notice Boomerang. In fact, I'd feel pretty safe to say that a lot of people, at least until recently, didn't even know what Boomerang was.
Yeah. I even told you, Gabby, like Boomerang's like the one channel. Why didn't anybody tell me about this when I was younger? Especially like I used to watch a lot of Tom and Jerry. Like me and my mom are really big fans of Tom and Jerry, and it's like never heard of this channel. Like I think the first time I heard of Boomerang was like I think I was like in middle or high school when like we used to go to Ruby's Diner, and on the TVs they would be airing Boomerang shows.
Ah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And see, for me, I've always kind of been like the media pioneer in my family. And I don't say that as to I'm bringing new stuff to the table. Like, oh yes, I went out and find this. No, more like,
You're the first
you
one to
know,
find out, basically, right?
yeah. So my parents would have people over. We'd be up late, and I'd be, there weren't any other kids, so I'm there probably around 10, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, where just flipping through the channels, and it was either watching very boring slice of life shows or very raunchy and like what's the word, kind of like shocking adult programming.
Mm.
And so I was desperate, and I was frequently flipping the channels, and lo and behold, I came across this channel that was still on late at night, showing stuff that I could actually watch.
Yeah, I totally get that.
So I absolutely loved it, and that's kind of how I got to learn about a lot of old school shows like Magilla Gorilla, Hong Kong Phooey, Adam Ant, Wacky Races, uh, Huckleberry Hound, Droopy, El Kabong, all kinds of different characters.
Mm-hmm.
More than anything from Hanna-Barbera, which I found very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And well, yeah, it just kind of stuck.
Yeah, definitely. So, well,
Yeah, and I think it lasted probably until high school.
mm-hmm.
And at that point, that was when they started bringing in like newer things. Like I remember the first thing I noticed got brought in just out of nowhere was the original Pokemon Indigo League.
Oh,
Yeah, they started showing the original Indigo League episodes every now and then, and I was like, "What?" In Boomerang.
yeah, that's one of the big head scratchers for me with Boomerang. It's just like I thought this was the classic cartoon too. Not that Pokemon is like a bad show. I used to watch it also as a kid, though it is kind of strange, popping up on Boomerang.
Yeah, it's kind of like that moment where you look at it and you're like, "Oh God, I'm old." Am I old? Oh, so yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm glad because I think this is a great way to take advantage of the channel, especially the way they've been trying to work with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, we haven't seen or heard anything from Courage in so long. It feels very refreshing for me to be able to hear that new stuff is coming out for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, funny enough, in my notes I wrote down here that Courage was actually on the air for like 3 years between 1999 and 2002. So wow, it's been like 16 years, but honestly, it hasn't felt like that long since Courage, has been off the air. I mean, granted, it's probably through reruns. I must have gotten because I know I didn't start buying Game Boy games until like 2005, 2006. And we just came across that one that happened to have that Courage the Cowardly Dog episode where he gets turned into a fly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, I don't really know. I feel like I kind of also sort of got a little bit more through reruns than anything, only because at least with cable, I did come a little bit late to the party.
Mm. Yeah.
Though when I did, I took great advantage of it. Not to mention that it did help even later on, like relatively recently compared to what we're talking about as far as time spans go. They put the whole series on Netflix.
They did?
Yeah, I binge watched that.
Maybe I should take a look after I get done because I actually reactivated my Netflix subscription, so now I have an opportunity
I'm
to
not
see them.
sure if they still have it because it's like maybe a few years back.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd feel like they'd still have it there. Hopefully. Heck no, I want to check.
Yeah, I'll
And if
check
not,
when
probably on Hulu. If you have Hulu, they might have it there too.
Yeah, I'll check when I do the editing of this video and let you guys know through a lower third graphic. So, yeah. I guess the other thing, I guess this is kind of turning into a Boomerang discussion only because we don't have too much information on what this reboot could be. I remember I was watching the YouTuber Pie Guy Rules. Do you know who Pie Guy Rules is, Gabby?
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a
I don't.
YouTuber who talks about like cartoons like Teen Titans and SpongeBob. And he did a Boomerang talk a while back, and he said that his problem with Boomerang is if, for people who really like the Hanna-Barbera shows, they're probably buying the Hanna-Barbera cartoons like in bulk, the entire series on like DVD or Blu-ray. So even if before Courage comes out, do you think that Boomerang could still sustain like high ratings, or what do you think? I guess the concern here is, if Boomerang, it is becoming a channel where they're airing, classic cartoons, older Cartoon Network shows, and even current ones. But what do you think Boomerang is going to have to do before Courage comes out, like to sustain the high ratings if Boomerang gets them?
Well, I'd say bring in more content like that. Like if they're gonna start airing more reruns, air more reruns. Kind of like echoing that kind of like vibe that you get with that, because it's like, like they said, these shows have been around so long and have been treated in such a way where yes, you can get a good chunk, a very decent chunk of the episodes, in a DVD set. Heck, I have one of Johnny Quest and Pinky and the Brain, though that's a little newer, I will admit. But yeah, and of course the one that's kind of like more intact is the Johnny Quest one. So with shows like Courage, they're only recently starting to get that treatment. I'm pretty sure you could find a good chunk of them on DVD, maybe even a box set by now, of something like Courage the Cowardly Dog, maybe even Courage the Cowardly Dog. But for a long time, and there's still some shows that are like this, even newer shows, that just haven't gotten that treatment. I mean, we have even new stuff like Gravity Falls. We have The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack, which has not gotten anything like that. I'm pretty sure they didn't do anything like that with Cow and Chicken or Johnny Bravo. Maybe Dexter's Laboratory might have had a bit more of that treatment just because so many people liked it. But especially Courage the Cowardly Dog, the main thing that I've gotten to see is that they sprinkle it in these small DVD sets along with different shows instead of putting, dedicating like a collection specifically for Courage the Cowardly Dog. So, working off of that, if they took advantage of that and be like, oh, hey, you know what? These haven't really been, completely kind of like taken advantage of in the form of DVD yet. So if we air them, a lot of people would appreciate it. And then seeing how many people would appreciate the rerunning of a show like that, you can get an awesome DVD box set because they look at it and it's like, oh yeah, they do like it.
Although that's going to be
so I think it'd be very interesting. I think a similar thing kind of happened with Samurai Jack, though I wouldn't say it's more like, I don't think it was very much more that pieces were missing, but more just kind of like, if you wanted to see Samurai Jack, you had very little options of how to do it. So that was a perfect instance to take advantage.
Yeah.
And I think that's just kind of what's starting to happen with this too, So yeah, just get more of that stuff on the air. I'm pretty sure that would be really cool. I'd probably watch it.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at a schedule from the Boomerang Schedule Archive on Tumblr, which I trust these schedule archive pages. They seem to be really accurate. A lot of YouTubers like to use them. I tried looking at TV Guide, but they don't have Boomerang schedule. And as of right now, Boomerang is airing mainly the classic cartoons or the older Cartoon Network shows. But the thing about the older Cartoon Network shows is they get graveyard time slots. Like I'm looking at Codename Kids Next Door at 1 a.m., Foster's at 2 a.m. Who's watching at that time? Everybody's asleep, you know? Oh, you. Oh, great. And now I'm looking at it again, but they do have like some slots for Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. And why are they airing Adventure Time and Steven Universe on Boomerang? Like at late at night, like there's not too many slots for them, but it's just like why are they airing? I know Adventure Time just ended, so maybe it's about time. But Steven
Universe? What?
Yeah, I don't know. Shouldn't you be airing those reruns on Cartoon Network, not Boomerang? What are you doing, Gabby?
This is me flipping out over that. Why? Why?
Must be flipping out so much because you froze. I mean, I can still hear you, but
yeah, that is upsetting to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if they aired more Steven Universe, I probably would be on the actual channel a lot more. I had to go to the freaking app.
Yeah. So, I was just kind of looking at their schedules just to see what they're doing. But as of right now, it seems like they are airing the older Cartoon Network shows, but mainly in those graveyard time slots. Most of the day, they're airing shows like Tom and Jerry, Scooby-Doo, Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, and see how it used to be, if I remember correctly, was those same like really old school cartoons were just playing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
All the time. It wasn't like, you were kind of like getting different things at different time spots. It was just kind of like a cycle.
Yeah.
And you get like those funky intermissions, which also were a big part of the experience, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, this is what I meant when I was saying a lot of people on YouTube were saying Boomerang has completely lost their way, and it kind of paves the way into how a lot of people hate Cartoon Network's president Christina Miller and Vishnu, who's the kind of schedule guy. I don't know if he's still the scheduling dude, but a lot of people hated him because he was around when Cartoon Network was just airing Teen Titans Go again and again and again and again and again. But if he's still around, and this is his idea of what makes a good Boomerang schedule, then I'm at a total loss. It really should just be the classic cartoons mixed with the older Cartoon Network shows, and in good time slots, not just that dead 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning in time slots where. Even though I know you said you may be up at that time, Gabby, but it's most people...
No, and even then that wasn't what made Boomerang at all. We weren't looking at something like that where that was the kind of time slot they were aiming for.
Mm-hmm.
This is a channel that just had a steady flow of the same kind of material day in and day out.
Yeah. And now it's
and if I was up, that's because I was the outlier.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to see this post was put up on July 2018, so it's a few months off, so maybe Boomerang's schedule has changed up, but I still feel like given how people are not very happy with Boomerang's schedule, I think this is pretty close to what Boomerang's schedule is like now. I mean, it really does remind me of Nicktoons Network, where they would air shows they used to air shows like Angry Beavers and the X's at really obscure 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning time slots, and it's just I'm not gonna go to my aunt's house in Camarillo and wake up at 2 in the morning to watch the X's. It's just yeah, that's not a pretty sight.
Well, here's the sad thing. That says a lot of what they think of the show. And that's not good.
Yeah. Although, granted, X's isn't like the most popular Nicktoon, even though I thought it was
Yeah,
a fun show. But
yeah, it was just kind of it had its time, and I
mhm,
think because they realized it didn't have a very big following, that's why they put it at that time slot, which is how it's supposed to work.
mhm. I don't
But
know. Maybe
how are
nowadays.
they saying that the same thing or the similar kind of thing, or giving the same treatment to a show that tons and tons and tons and tons of people are still talking about and have been talking about for a long time?
Yeah, I mean, it's just really ridiculous. Yeah, it's just really ridiculous. I mean, hopefully that's something Boomerang will change up. I mean, I'm please God, don't air before Courage at like 4 in the morning. I feel like it's just like now that's stupid, you know.
Don't make me be there for it, because
Hmm.
I will be there for it. Please
Uh,
don't.
yeah, no, not at 4 in the morning. Like, I hope it's like, one of those like prime time slots where like airs at like 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night. Boomerang doesn't
I
have Adult Swim, so they don't have to worry about Adult Swim cutting in.
and I think that was part of it too, where it's like, they didn't have to worry about that either.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of added to Boomerang as well back in the day. I'm going down memory lane here. Oh
Mm-hmm.
my gosh.
So,
I'd be very hopeful, and I do believe that I want to believe that they would give it a proper time slot just because of how it's being promoted. Oh goodness gracious.
yeah. I mean, I don't think like, as much as, people love like, love to hate the Cartoon Network, I don't think they're gonna be that ridiculous. Like they know Courage is a really beloved show, so I think they will give it, like a proper, preferably prime time, slot when it comes out.
And even then with the scheduling, I have no basis to back this up. I just get the weirdest feeling that there's just a piece of information regarding it that we don't know that could explain why the heck this is going on.
The odd scheduling,
Yeah, or at least I want to. Like, I guess it's partially just me wondering, like, what? Who the heck would come up with that?
I don't know. I mean, judging by the schedule, it seems like Boomerang, the channel really wants to emphasize itself as we're the place where you can watch Looney Tunes, Scooby Doo, and Tom and Jerry, and but it's also the place where you can watch the older Cartoon Network shows. That kind of lack of emphasis. It's almost like they don't know what they want to be, or it's a case of we're classic cartoons by day, older Cartoon Network by night, which is also a really ucky philosophy.
And if I were to think it through, I'd kind of I'd probably want to flip it, you know?
Yeah, I guess. Or make it like classic cartoons in the morning, older Cartoon Network shows in the afternoon. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, that would be amazing. You
Yeah.
know how many people miss Saturday morning cartoons?
Mm, yeah, I have a feeling. I personally don't because I just watch cartoons whenever I want. But I
Same.
know that there's no way Boomerang could be like, no, we're gonna air the classic cartoons at like the dead of night because that's what makes Boomerang. That's what made them a successful channel in the beginning. So I know there's no way they can just flip it. I'm just saying it just needs to be a lot more balanced because there's definitely an audience, as you said, out there for fans of the older Cartoon Network shows. Rather than just keeping it to the classics, because I have to agree with the YouTuber. He used to be called Anthemocracy. I forgot what he's called nowadays, but he was saying like he's not a fan of Boomerang's current schedule, but he was saying if they just kept it the classic cartoons, there's no way Boomerang could survive. And nowadays it's just
Yeah,
a
I could
complete
see that
mess.
too.
So yeah, so hopefully before Courage will be scheduled a lot better. Do you have any last things to say? I know we were just kind of going all over the place and turning this into a Boomerang discussion, but is there anything else we could probably expect from a before Courage special?
I don't know. The only thing I have to say is I have faith.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess what I'm trying to figure out is you were saying how when Courage, got adopted, now he's protecting his new owners. So if it takes place before then, would it just be about Courage protecting like himself or maybe some friends he met at the dump?
I feel like it could possibly be him being taken in by different people and seeing the different experiences he's gone through,
Mm-hmm.
which I think would be pretty interesting. Seeing like what made Eustace and Muriel stand out to him.
Yeah, that's
Like,
actually a really good idea. That sounds like the
were
idea for a
they the only
series,
people?
though, rather than a TV movie.
No, I don't think so, because looking at how they kind of deal with those kinds of things,
Mm-hmm.
you can kind of like cut through bits and pieces of the different experiences he goes through, because we don't have that much time really to go through as far as like what we had with Courage. Because with Courage, the original show, we had an unlimited amount of time,
Mm-hmm.
because we didn't have any setup for when it was going to end.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't expecting anything to happen.
Uh-huh.
It was just kind of like they're always there. He's always with them.
Mm-hmm.
But in this situation, we have a clear-cut period of time. There is a beginning and there is an end, and we are at least partially aware of both of them already because we've been introduced to them. So it would be very condensed.
Yeah, I see. Although it is kind of odd. I'm just thinking about, is it going to be like he goes through 3 owners in one TV movie and then he ends up with Eustace and Muriel? Or would it be a thing where it's like towards the tail end of the movie he gets adopted and we sort of know in the end what makes Eustace and Muriel stand out? Like, is that going to be the kind of thing rather than just ending it on when he gets adopted?
I don't know, but if they do go that way, I feel like it would be amazing.
Okay, so I think we're gonna call it here. We've been going all over the place, but we've been to the moon and back talking about Before Courage and Boomerang. So, thank you, Gabby, for coming on. And we don't have a release date for this. It would be nice to interview John or Dilworth, though. Like maybe one of these days he'll show up at like a convention and we can
That would be awesome.
Like we got to interview Ricky Simmons, the voice of Gur, and we just did Darren FC, the creator of Star Wars: The Forces of Evil. So I wouldn't rule it out. It's just a matter of will Dilworth, pop up at like a convention we can go to. But if we ever do, we'll be sure to ask him about this special.
Heck yeah.
Because, I think it's amazing in itself that, like, he's able to make this post. This isn't like a Facebook post that, like, he had to take down. It seems like Boomerang is cool, or, Boomerang Cartoon Network is cool with him talking about it.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome. And I think part of it is what actually makes these kinds of ideas work. Because you're hearing it straight from the creator.
Mm-hmm.
And not just kind of like whispers and rumors going around the internet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not a case of Boomerang announced it and they're very quiet on who's going to be working on it or what's the animation style or the story going to be. So definitely looking forward to it. And I'll definitely go check and see if there are Courage episodes on Netflix to watch. I'd be very interested in seeing that. So yeah, so thank you, Gabby, for coming on. And
thank you for having me.
Courage. Yeah.
Woo.
So bye. Until then, we'll see you next time. Bye. Hey guys, be sure to like this Blood Moon Bobby video if you enjoyed it. Please share this video, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment. Be sure to ring the notification bell to be notified about my latest upload. Follow me on my social media pages at Blood Moon Bobby to find out about what I'll be covering next and for more of my opinions. Thanks for watching.